Who are you?
Someone's trying not to kill you.
Hey guys, and welcome to part 2 of What If Eastman Survived. In the last episode, we started the series off saying the small thing that would keep Eastman alive, albeit just a walker, not really much of a big deal there, and the introduction as to how Eastman would, at first, change the story in a small direction. First few episodes, really, mainly just episodes in general for the series, are going to be kind of short. This is a short series. Does that mean it's not going to be worth it? Of course not. It's going to still be a good series. But last time we wrapped up with the introduction to the wolves, asking how that would go. Now the whole thing eventually comes up with Owen and Morgan having the discussion by themselves? Eastman's nowhere around. But whenever Owen clicks his gun, his other guy, the second in command, doesn't pop out. But he doesn't have long to stew on this, because right whenever Owen's second in command would jump out and attack Morgan, or, at least attempt to, Eastman comes out of the bushes with the second in command right at his side, Eastman's stick pointed right at him, even though we know he's not going to kill him. Morgan knocks out Owen before he can attempt to attack, because we all know that he would and could try to attack, because that's just who Owen was before he kind of redeemed himself. It did a Merle with him right at the end, kinda. Anyways, the second in command is also knocked out to keep either of them from fighting. So the entrance to the introduction of the wolves here is much more undermined, even though it wasn't, truly, bad. Didn't kill that many characters, really. But anyways, sidetracked. Eastman, before Morgan can do anything, says that leaving them out would be just for the best, considering who they are. But they both agree to put them both in the car and at least keep it so that way they stay alive, because of the whole life is precious thing. So, yeah, they're not differing from that anytime soon. And they go on to continue looking for Rick. Daryl and Aaron, at this time, because we're finally getting into Rick's group, even though we're only 2 parts in. I say finally like I'm 50 parts in. But anyways, the whole thing with Rick and company has gone completely normal. Nothing has changed. It's just been Morgan and Eastman, that part of the story, that's changed. Daryl and Aaron still go looking for the guy with the red poncho and are about to make a hasty exit from the car they're at when Morgan, with Eastman, save them. Now, with Morgan's already awesome combat skills with the stick, even now, with Eastman around, it gives me I really think that they would be able to take on all the walkers. And if they somehow couldn't, then it really isn't that big a deal. But considering that Eastman is an extra add with his combat skills, I really think that they would be able to take on all the walkers. Correct me if I'm wrong. I've done that little tidbit before with other characters. Afterwards, whenever Aaron and Daryl begin to talk, and Aaron thanks the 2 of them this time for helping, Eastman is the one to speak before Morgan, and whenever Daryl asks why, like I said, Eastman's the first one to speak now, since he's around, and says that all life is precious, except he would go into a deeper monologue than Morgan, because Eastman's the one who came up with the trademark for Aikido and the whole thing that made Morgan Morgan. That's why him living is so essential for the story, because it changes not only how his character would go, but Morgan's, even though it would and wouldn't change him, if you know what I mean. Morgan, after hearing Eastman's monologue, just nods and smiles in agreement, and then whenever Daryl and Aaron welcome both of them to come to the community, Morgan says that they can't and they're actually headed somewhere. But this time with Eastman around, I feel that Rick's name would come up here. And they're looking for a guy named Rick and would show him the map still. But just hearing the name Rick, I feel that Daryl would already know, obviously, who Morgan is talking about. And would already have heard of Morgan from Rick himself. So I have also touched upon that before too, because I feel like Morgan's presence was already said to the group, especially to like Lori and them, before Morgan actually came back in season 6. Now, after this, whether it would be them saying, Morgan or Eastman saying Rick's name, or just the fact of the map, they would be on their way back to Alexandria, with Eastman in tow, and a bit more development. Now at Alexandria, everything's gone per normal. Like I said, Morgan and Eastman's little story tidbit is the only thing that's changed, and their interaction with the wolves, obviously. Everything of them coming to Alexandria, things going awry, and all that, Noah's death, all goes the same. Up until we have the meeting to kick out Rick. Pete comes, Reg tries to stop him, Reg gets sliced in the throat with Michonne's blade, and Deanna tells Rick to kill Pete. And he is just about to do that when this is where the story changes with Rick's group for real. The Morgan and Eastman bit is the part that's changed, and the wolves. But now, we're getting into the true change of the story, where it will go. Just before Rick is about to put a bullet in Pete's cranium, a voice cries out for him to stop, and that he doesn't have to do this. Rick looks up, half, like, surprised and half, like, just willing to shoot the guy who just said that, when he looks up and sees a man with a staff in a normal attire, like Morgan's attire, but better. I feel it would fit Eastman to where Morgan was wearing, and, like, just much better, if you guys know what I'm saying. He introduces himself as Eastman, and then from behind him steps Morgan, Aaron, and Daryl. Now, at first, whenever Rick stared at Eastman, he honestly was just willing to shoot Pete anyway. But now, Aaron and Daryl, he already knew that they were possibly going to come back. He was getting worried, sure, but he had way other things on his plate, like whether he was going to get kicked out and then the walker. Everything just happened at once, like it did in the original. But now that Morgan's back and Eastman is there, what more will this tie into with Pete not being shot yet? Did this mean that with Eastman being there, Pete might survive? And if he somehow does, how will this impact with Deanna, Carol, and Rick and their characters moving forward? Will Pete change if he lives? Or is this going down a very dark route? And that's where we leave things for the moment. Like I said, another small part, but really, that's how the majority of the series is going to go. Possibly just like at least until the middle of the story, I feel. Or like certain parts, and definitely the finale will be long, obviously. But just for the startup, and considering it's a short series in general, I'm still going to put in suspense and make it a good story. It just depends on how it's going to go, and just the fact on who it is and how the story's going to go. But I hope you guys like this anyway, and like that the story is now changing in a new direction for real. But how do you guys think the future of this story will go? Like and subscribe, comment, and I will see you guys next time.
Who are you? Come into the light!